Go ahead, continue on.
Well, but it's because you needed to reach other kids too. Not everybody can learn with a worksheet. No, they need to act it out, they need to create. I always used to tell them, know 5 words, but know how to use them, okay? Put them in different contexts. And Nancy was so much that way. She wanted those kids to learn, to know, and remember.
How many times did we hear her say, that's not their learning style?
Exactly, exactly.
And there was a good part of us that every time Nancy would say that, we would say, oh,
Yes.
But there was one time, we were in the LMC over there, when she gave a presentation on learning
Yep,
skills. It was
first year
during
here.
professional development. My jaw just dropped because she did such a good job presenting it. She had us all, there in the palm of her hand. And I remember thinking, Nancy, this is really, really good stuff, so.
Whenever,
She would get so enthusiastic over the smallest thing.
Yes.
We would go out there to Zenersville and find a flake of metal this big. It was a great geologic find. And we'd roam around those hills, but the kids dug it and
they loved it, and
they
nobody-
loved it. And
they loved it.
she was so hands-on, I just envied that ability in her. I was the guy that wanted to stand up in front and entertain, but Nancy was taking them to where the action really was. And, she'd bring in people for Veterans Day.
Oh,
she
And
did.
so that they could hear the firsthand knowledge of these
Yes.
guys that were in World War II and the Korean War.
I
It just made chills run down your back.
know, I found it interesting. I was talking to some other teachers not very long ago, and they were saying, oh, maybe it was parents of younger kids. And they were saying, up at Roland Story, they do this Veterans Day thing, and I said, yeah. And then I heard other people say, well, they do it over. We did it way before anybody else had those.
Are they still doing it?
Celebrate, yes.
Yes.
I think so.
They're still doing it.
Yes.
I think I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the last week she was here. On a Friday, she had scheduled a trip to the Capitol building, and I was going to drive her and go along with her and help the kids go from spot to spot, and they were to fill out little sheets on various different departments down there. And she called me on about Wednesday. She said, Bob, I don't know if I can do this. She was getting that bad. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, Nancy. I said, if you want to go, I said, we can bring the bus right up by the back door, have a wheelchair there ready to go for you. And so we ended up going, and she went. And we went from there down to the food court, and she ate like she was a stevedore. I mean, man, she really piled it away. But on Monday, then I was going to take her government kids up to the museum, and I got a call and said Nancy was not going to be able to do it. Could I drive the bus and take them to the museum and be the sub for her that particular day? She never came back, and I subbed to her from Monday through Thursday, and then it was Christmas vacation at that time.
Was that?
She would have hung in there. I mean,
Yeah.
tell you, if someone would have carted her in the day
She
before
couldn't
died,
even stand
Right.
up there.
and her arm was this big around, and she
Yeah.
was just in terrible misery.
So you went to Des Moines, that was after her diagnosis then,
That
that she
was-
had gotten
Oh, yeah,
that?
yeah.
But
It
after
was,
she had,
it was literally the last day she was here.
yeah. I remember seeing the pictures of everybody on the Capitol steps.
Yep.
And I just thought, oh, Nancy, I know you just feel so awful
Right.
when you're so weak, but
Right.
you still did this. So
Yeah.
that was so grateful to you that you really made
I mean,
it
it was,
so she could do it.
Then she went home and she graded projects
Yes.
and
Yes.
she graded papers.
Mhm.
And Barb and I had to write things for her because she couldn't write with that
Yes.
arm
Oh.
anymore, but she just thought in her mind, I have to get this
Right.
done, I have to get this taken care of.
I volunteered in that last week to help grade the papers, and she turned me down. Maybe she thought I'd be nasty to her.
One thing I was thinking about when I came up here was, we all thought we were gonna have this big empty hole in our lives when we lost her. But she filled that
Oh,
hole with
yes.
all these memories we
Yes.
have of her, and she just really holds a special
Yes.
place in my heart.
And on a personal level too, but whenever we talk about some current event or something we didn't understand in the paper, or I'd say, let's go ask Nancy. Because she usually knew, but if she didn't, she researched things, she was always learning more.
Yep.
And I remember talking to her, I never really got some conflicts in the world, and she would explain
Oh,
it
yeah,
so that
she
I
did
could,
total
yeah,
background.
yep, it was great.
And her nieces and nephews were, they were so important.
Special to her.
Oh, very special. I mean, I knew all their names and what everybody was doing and where they were working and how they were doing and how college was going for Alex and Sonia and gosh.
Oh, and they come in.
Oh, yeah, Alex did
Awesome.
many times, yeah.
Just-
How the purebred hamps were doing on Sherman's
Oh,
Farm.
yeah,
One thing I wanted to talk about was the faculty meetings. We were required to go either before school or after school. And you always wanted to get out of there because one way or the other, whichever one you went to, you had about 10 different things to do. And we'd all be poised and ready to leave. We'd think the meeting was over. Nancy would raise her hand. One more thing, just one more thing, and now what? So with her, it was always one more thing.
And then when she
One
had
more
to
thing.
give her announcements on, this is what I always remember,
Yeah.
that she would get on the intercom and she would talk and goodbye. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Okay, bye.
yeah. I remember she would say that, Q would say this too, that, you know, she would talk him into some things that he would just groan with. Yes.
He'd roll his eyes.
Yes. Oh, she
And
was
she'd
persuasive.
propose a special project, and I'd say,
Yeah.
oh, boy, I don't know if this is gonna fly. And Q and I would talk this over, and he says, you gotta face it, she's a risk taker.
She always seemed to, always
It
seemed to
came
work out.
It worked,
Yeah.
yes.
And she'd talk people into being in the lip sync
yes.
Oh, the
contest.
lip sync. Oh, gosh, the lip sync.
And if
yes.
nobody was yelling at the pep fest, she'd get
Oh,
out there
yes.
and start cheering.
Yes.
And, come on, and wow.
She was the school cheerleader.
She was.
She would teach the seventh, when she was teaching seventh and eighth
Yes,
grade.
yes.
The kids, if they didn't cheer, they would get extra work. Because I know that for a fact, because my kids went through her.
Did she teach them the school song?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
had to
they
memorize
needed,
that.
if they didn't know the school song, they would have to stay after school. And, I
She
don't know.
also
they
had a
loved
talent
her.
that I didn't realize. We had a talent show. You guys remember that?
We talked
Oh,
about
you
that
talked
before you
about
came
it?
in, yeah.
And she gets up there and plays the guitar and sings
Yes.
piano, man, and man, she
She's
just knocked
very-
my socks off. I
Yes.
thought you were really good.
Yes, and she was an athlete too.
Yeah,
Very good
excellent athlete at Alden.
Yes.
That's what everybody has told me.
Softball, basketball.
Yep.
I don't know.
Track.
Was she
Coach.
track
Yep.
also? Yeah.
Wasn't she a coach?
Yeah,
Was
she
she
coached.
was
yes.
here?
Yeah,
Did she?
yeah.
Yeah, she told us some stories, at her house last year when we all went. She told us some stories
It's about a week and a
going-
half before she
Yeah,
died.
about going on a volleyball, I don't know if there was an incident on the bus or
Driving the
something.
bus.
Yeah,
She did not like driving the bus,
yeah.
and she finally just flat says, I will
I'm
not
not."
drive the bus anymore.
I wish, somebody said they wished that we had had the video going that day that she sat and reminisced with all of us. That last time we were all together.
Yes.
It would have been nice to have that.
Yeah.
She had a hard time talking that day, but
Yeah.
she was very entertaining.
The day before she died, it was a Sunday, and I had been down at my dad's, and we had our late Christmas that Sunday. And I went over to see her that evening, and after we got back, and the first thing she says, well, how was your Christmas? And then I had sent her a message that afternoon a text message that afternoon on the phone. And she must not have gotten it till the middle of the night or something, because she texted back, because I said I'll be over, and she texted back that morning she died, just a K, okay. And I still got that K on my text message from her, so,
She died the day after my birthday,
yeah.
and I sure thought about her this year on my birthday, and I thought, it's a good thing you didn't die on my birthday, it would make it even harder.
Yeah, I always when I think of her, I say, I'm so sorry, Nancy, that you had to go, because she was so full of
was
life.
not-
I'm just so sorry.
Not fair.
So,
She was a real strong Republican.
Before you got here, we talked a little bit about some discussions you and she had had.
But I used to love at the lunch table when you two would get going on something. I mean, you left, and I used to, because you both had so many facts behind the whole
Yeah, she
situation.
she was like my little sister, I'm not kidding you. And in some ways, I was closer to her than my two sisters. It was an experience that greatly enriched my life.
I think that was true for all of us.
She enriched everybody's life.
Yeah.
Can I ask one favor here, since maybe we're getting close to an end? I would like to go around and just, I'll go this way, introduce yourself again so we all know who everybody is. And a lot of people here don't know you, but the 30 minutes we've been doing this is probably worth more than anything I could write about her or say about her myself. So we'll start over here and just name and what you did and here at Gilbert.
I'm Becky Rice. I taught Spanish here for 23 years.
Alicia Van Bergen, I taught Spanish here for 25.
John Kinley, Superintendent of Schools. I was here 6 years.
Bob Jensen, I had the privilege of being a teacher here for 7 years, from age 58 to 65.
Jack Kelly and I taught social studies with Nancy for a lot of years.
John Davis, Ag Education and FFA, and came here in '92 and still going.
Marcy Good, I taught English and speech here for 20 years.
Cindy Dooland, I taught special ed here for 30 years, and we all loved her.
Barb Peterson, I came the same year that these two did in '92, and this is my last year still going, but I had special ed, and I was Nancy's neighbor also, so I could walk over to her house anytime I wanted. Loved her dearly.
I'm going to ask Mr. Jensen, could I put you on the spot and to provide us with some closing comments here, unless anybody else has anything else to say?
I would be glad to.
Okay.
I think that Nancy's effect on the children that she served and the community that she was in was immeasurable. We absolutely would not have a lot of the traditions which I hold near and dear now. Being a graduate of Gilbert and almost a lifetime member of this community, I don't think we would have had a history society, history club, any of those kinds of things if it hadn't been for her initiatives. And bless her heart, she is sorely missed, but as we've got on a placard at the Historical Society, gone but not forgotten.